Maliek Kearney. On August 24, 2015, Sergeant Maliek Kearney, a U.S. Army sergeant stationed at Fort Jackson, South Carolina, committed a horrifying act of domestic violence in Savor, Maryland. Despite being under a court-issued protective order that barred him from contacting his wife, Kearney traveled across state lines to confront her. His victim, Carlin Ramirez, a 24-year-old Army private first class and mother of their 4-month-old daughter, was fatally shot 3 times. Following the attack, Kearney staged the scene and left their infant daughter beside her mother's body, compounding the tragedy. The crime was premeditated and orchestrated with the assistance of his mistress, Dolores Delgado, who helped plan the murder, provided the firearm, and later received a 17-year prison sentence for her role in the crime. Kearney was convicted in August 2018 of interstate travel to commit domestic violence resulting in death. On November 30, 2018, he was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. As of April 2025, Kearney, now 43 years old, has served approximately 6 years and 5 months of his life sentence. This case stands as a chilling reminder of the deadly consequences of domestic violence, the risks posed when protective orders are ignored, and the devastating impact such crimes have on innocent children caught in the crossfire. Sergeant William Kreutzer Jr. On October 1995, Sergeant William Kreutzer Jr., a member of the 325th Airborne Infantry Regiment, 82nd Airborne Division stationed at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, carried out one of the most infamous acts of violence within the U.S. military. Nicknamed Crazy Kreutzer, he concealed himself in the tree line near Towel Stadium during a morning physical training (PT) formation, where approximately 1,300 soldiers had assembled. Armed with multiple firearms, Kreutzer opened fire indiscriminately on his fellow soldiers. The attack resulted in the death of Major Stephen Mark Badger and injuries to 18 others. Prior to the assault, Kreutzer had exhibited troubling behavior, including expressing thoughts of harming his fellow soldiers and writing a will, signaling his premeditation and intent. The rampage ended when he was tackled and subdued by 3 Special Forces soldiers, preventing further casualties. Kreutzer was initially sentenced to death in 1996, but the sentence was overturned in 2004 due to ineffective counsel. He later pleaded guilty in March 2009 and received a life sentence without the possibility of parole. As of April 2025, Kreutzer has served approximately 29 years and 6 months at the U.S. Disciplinary Barracks. The Fort Bragg massacre remains a stark example of the dangers of untreated mental health issues in high-stress military environments and the devastating consequences of premeditated violence. Andrew Paul Witt. On July 5, 2004, Senior Airman Andrew Paul Witt, an avionics technician with the 116th Air Control Wing at Robins Air Force Base, Georgia, carried out a brutal and premeditated attack against fellow service members within the base housing community. Witt stabbed Senior Airman Andy Schlapsiek and his wife, Jamie, to death after making unwanted sexual advances toward Jamie. During the assault, Staff Sergeant Jason King intervened and was seriously injured. The crime deeply shocked the Air Force, as it occurred in what was considered a secure military environment, highlighting the rare but extreme risks of interpersonal violence among service members. Witt's trial began in 2005, and he was convicted in October 2005, receiving a death sentence, the first Air Force death penalty handed down since 1990. Over the next decade, Witt's death sentence was overturned multiple times on appeal due to procedural and legal concerns. In July 2018, he was resentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, ensuring that he would remain incarcerated for the remainder of his life. As of August 2025, Witt has served over 21 years in a military confinement facility, marking more than 2 decades behind bars since his conviction. The case remains a grim reminder of how unchecked personal grievances and inappropriate advances can escalate to fatal violence, even within disciplined environments such as the U.S. Air Force. Ryan Gibson Specialist. Ryan Gibson Anderson, a tank crewman assigned to the 303rd Armor Battalion, 81st Armor Brigade at Fort Lewis, Washington, became involved in a serious national security offense while preparing for deployment to Iraq. During his college years, Anderson converted to Islam and changed his name to Amir Abdul Rashid, though he later exploited his military access to attempt aiding a terrorist organization. Anderson was accused of attempting to provide classified military intelligence to al-Qaeda, including detailed sketches of tanks, troop movements, and targeting methods. However, the supposed foreign contacts were actually undercover FBI agents who documented Anderson's actions and intentions. His behavior raised alarms about insider threats within the U.S. Army and highlighted the risks posed by service members with access to sensitive operational information. He was arrested on February 12, 2004, and his trial concluded with a conviction on September 3, 2004, for attempting to aid the enemy. Anderson was sentenced to life imprisonment with the possibility of parole, reflecting the gravity of his offense, while leaving a potential avenue for future review. As of August 2025, Anderson has served approximately 21 years and 6 months at the U.S. disciplinary barracks, continuing to serve his sentence in a high-security military facility. His case serves as a cautionary example of the dangers posed when individuals with military training and access attempt to compromise national security. Dwight Jeffrey. Private First Class. Dwight Jeffrey Loving, born in Rochester, New York, was stationed at Fort Hood, Texas, when he committed a series of violent crimes that shocked both the military and civilian communities. Between December 11th and 24th, 1988, Loving engaged in a spree that involved robbery and murder. He initially robbed convenience stores in Texas, but escalated to killing for additional money by targeting unsuspecting taxi drivers. His first known victim, Army Private Christopher Fay, 20, was shot twice in the head after a robbery. Second victim, retired Master Sergeant Bobby Charbino, 44, suffered the same fate after another robbery. A third intended victim, taxi driver Howard Harrison, survived and provided key evidence that ultimately led to Loving's capture and conviction. Loving was convicted on April 3, 1989, of premeditated murder, attempted murder, and robbery. He was originally sentenced to death, but his sentence was commuted to life without parole by President Barack Obama on January 17, 2017, following a review of federal death row cases. As of August 2025, Loving is age 57 and has served approximately 37 years and 8 months at the U.S. disciplinary barracks. His case remains a stark reminder of how service members' access to weapons and mobility can be tragically misused, and it highlights the importance of vigilance and accountability within military communities. Robert Bales. Staff Sergeant Robert Bales, born in Norwood, Ohio, enlisted in the U.S. Army in the aftermath of the 9/11 attacks. Prior to his military service, he had worked as a stockbroker, but after enlisting, he served multiple deployments, building a reputation as a seasoned combat veteran. On March 11, 2012, while on his fourth deployment, his first tour in Afghanistan, Bales left his assigned post at Camp Belambay in the Kandahar province and carried out a horrific attack on Afghan civilians. Over the course of several hours in the villages of Al-Qazai and Najiban, Bales murdered 16 civilians, including 9 children and 7 adults. Some victims were set on fire in the aftermath of the attack. Prior to Afghanistan, Bales had completed 3 tours in Iraq, exposing him to prolonged combat stress. His actions shocked both military leadership and the international community, leading to widespread condemnation and questions about the effects of combat-related trauma. In June 2013, Bales pleaded guilty to avoid the death penalty. He was subsequently sentenced to life without the possibility of parole in August 2013. As of August 2025, Bales is 51 years old and has served approximately 12 years and 5 months at the U.S. disciplinary barracks, Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. His case remains one of the most notorious examples of intra-military criminality and highlights the tragic consequences of untreated psychological trauma among combat veterans. John M. Russell. Sergeant John M. Russell, a communications specialist assigned to the 54th Engineer Battalion, was serving his 3rd tour in Iraq when the tragic events occurred. He had a documented history of severe depression, paranoia, and PTSD, which intensified during his deployment. On May 11, 2009, at the Camp Liberty Combat Stress Center in Baghdad, Iraq, Russell had a heated counseling session. Following this session, he overpowered his military escort, seized an M16 rifle, and returned to the clinic. In a short but devastating attack, he killed 5 U.S. military personnel, including Army Major Matthew P. Hell, 54, Navy Commander Charles K. Springle, 52, Army Staff Sergeant Christian E. Bueno Galdos, 25, Army Specialist Jacob D. Barton, 20, Army Private First Class Michael E. Yates, Jr., 19. The attack shocked both the military community and mental health professionals, highlighting the severe effects of untreated combat-related mental health issues among deployed service members. In May 2013, Russell pleaded guilty to unpremeditated murder to avoid the death penalty. However, the presiding judge ruled the murders were premeditated, resulting in a mandatory life sentence without the possibility of parole. As of August 2025, Russell is 60 years old and has served approximately 16 years and 3 months at the U.S. disciplinary barracks. His case remains a stark example of the lethal consequences of combat stress combined with access to firearms within a military setting. Grady Wayne Wilks. Corporal Grady Wayne Wilks, an infantry fire team leader in the Alabama Army National Guard, enlisted in 2010 and initially maintained a service record that appeared unremarkable. However, beneath the surface, Wilks had a documented history of domestic instability, which would later manifest in a violent confrontation that shocked both his local community and law enforcement officials. On May 19, 2019, in Auburn, Alabama, Wilks became the focal point of a tragic event that began with a domestic dispute involving his girlfriend. Responding officers arrived on the scene expecting a routine intervention, but Wilks, clad in military tactical gear, initiated a deadly attack. He opened fire on the responding police officers, demonstrating a level of tactical proficiency consistent with his military training. The immediate consequences of this attack were severe. Officer William Buckner, a dedicated law enforcement officer, was killed in the line of duty. Officer Webb Sistrunk sustained serious injuries. Officer Evan Elliott also suffered gunshot wounds. The attack did not end with the initial shooting. Wilks fled the scene, triggering a 9-hour manhunt that paralyzed the local area and involved extensive coordination among multiple law enforcement agencies. He was ultimately apprehended less than a mile from the crime scene, bringing the violent episode to a close, but leaving a lasting impact on the community and law enforcement personnel involved. Wilks's subsequent trial and sentencing underscored the gravity of his actions. In August 2023, he was convicted of capital murder and attempted murder. During sentencing, the jury opted to impose life imprisonment without the possibility of parole, consciously rejecting the death penalty. This decision reflected both the premeditated nature of the crimes and Wilks' use of military training to inflict harm in a civilian context. As of August 2025, Wilks has served approximately 2 years and 3 months in an Alabama state correctional facility. His case has drawn attention for several reasons. It highlights the potential dangers of military training when misapplied in domestic or civilian settings, underscores the risks of domestic violence escalating into public acts of violence, and emphasizes the vulnerability of law enforcement officers when confronting well-trained individuals in high-stress situations. The story of Corporal Grady Wayne Wilks serves as a stark reminder of the intersection between domestic instability, access to tactical skills, and the potential for lethal violence. It illustrates the challenges faced by both the military and civilian authorities in identifying and mitigating risks when service members with personal issues misuse their training. The tragedy left a lasting imprint on the Auburn community, forever memorializing the sacrifice of Officer William Buckner and highlighting the ongoing need for vigilance, support systems, and accountability for individuals who blend military capability with dangerous intent.
Hey, bud, hey. All right, hold up. Hey, bud. Hey, keep up!
I was told that they were transporting a suspect to the scene who was going to take us to an area where he had hidden the murder weapon and other items.
Okay. And by this time, I'm assuming you had kind of been briefed on the situation and the general nature of the equipment he used, the equipment he used in the commission of this offense.
Yes, briefly.
Okay.
Ballistic type helmet that was recovered. There was a what we'd commonly call a vest carrier. It's a vest basically that you put body armor in, as well as you put extra duty gear such as ammunition, pouches. There was a first aid kit. All of those were present. There were steel plates in both the front, back, and both sides of the vest carrier. There was a Smith & Wesson rifle, 223/5.56 caliber. There was the murder weapon. There was also a Glock pistol that was recovered.
We, the jury, find defendant Grady Wayne Wilks guilty of capital murder as charged in count 1 of the indictment. As I mentioned, this must be the verdict of each and every one of you. So if this is your verdict as to this count of the indictment, please raise your hand. Let the record reflect all 12 jurors did so. Thank you. The form regarding verdict count 2 reads, we, the jury, find defendant Grady Wayne Wilks guilty of the attempted murder of Evan Elliott as charged in count 2 of the indictment. Again, if this is your verdict on this count, please raise your hand. Please let the record reflect all 12 jurors did so. As to count 3, I've been given the form that reads, we, the jury, find defendant Grady Wayne Wilks not guilty as to count 3 of the indictment. If this is your verdict, please raise your hand. Let the record reflect all 12 jurors did so. And as to count 4, I've been given the form that reads, we, the jury, find defendant Grady Wayne Wilks guilty of the attempted murder of Mark Sistrunk as charged in count 4 of the indictment. If this is your verdict, please raise your hand. Let the record reflect all 12 jurors did so.
Isaac Aguigui. Isaac Aguigui, a 22-year-old soldier stationed at Fort Stewart, Georgia, became the central figure in a chilling sequence of premeditated murders that shocked both the military community and the wider public. His actions, driven by a combination of personal gain, financial incentive, and extremist ideology, revealed a disturbing intersection of greed, secrecy, and calculated violence. The first known act of murder occurred on July 17, 2011, when Aguigui's wife, Sergeant Deirdre Aguigui, who was 7 months pregnant, was discovered strangled to death in what initially appeared to be a domestic tragedy. However, investigators soon uncovered evidence suggesting that the crime had been carefully planned. The financial motive was significant. Aguigui stood to collect approximately $500,000 in life insurance benefits, a sum that he would later use to fund his personal ventures, including a clandestine militia group. Following his wife's murder, Aguigui established an anti-government organization known as Forever Enduring Always Ready, FEAR, a paramilitary group designed to provide him with both funding and a veneer of legitimacy for his activities. While the group was publicly framed as a survivalist and anti-government militia, its existence primarily served Aguigui's personal objectives: to mask his prior crimes and cultivate an aura of control and influence within extremist circles. The sequence of violence escalated on December 4, 2011. Aguigui orchestrated the murders of Michael Rohr and Tiffany York, civilians who had become aware of his prior criminal activities and posed a threat to his secrecy. These murders were coldly calculated, carried out to prevent exposure of both the earlier homicide of his wife and the illicit operations of his militia. The killings demonstrated Aguigui's willingness to eliminate anyone who stood between him and his perceived interests, illustrating both premeditation and callous disregard for human life. Legal proceedings that followed were complex and closely monitored by both military and civilian authorities. In July 2013, Aguigui was sentenced to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole for the murders of Michael Rohr and Tiffany York, ensuring that he would spend the remainder of his life behind bars for these acts of violence. A subsequent trial in March 2014 added an additional life sentence for the murder of his wife and the unborn child she carried at the time of her death. As of August 2025, Aguigui has served approximately 14 years and 1 month at the U.S. Disciplinary Barracks, one of the military's most secure correctional facilities. His case remains particularly notable within the military and criminal justice communities for several reasons. It starkly illustrates how financial motives, extremist ideologies, and access to weapons within military ranks can converge, resulting in a series of highly calculated and lethal actions. Furthermore, Aguigui's ability to manipulate systems for personal gain, from insurance claims to militia formation, highlights vulnerabilities in oversight mechanisms designed to protect both soldiers and civilians. Ultimately, the case of Private Isaac Aguigui is a sobering reminder of the potential dangers posed when personal ambition, greed, and extremist beliefs are left unchecked. It underscores the need for vigilance within military ranks, robust investigation of warning signs, and comprehensive safeguards to prevent individuals from exploiting positions of authority for nefarious purposes. The tragic loss of Deirdre Aguigui, her unborn child, and innocent civilians Michael Rohr and Tiffany York serves as a lasting testament to the devastating consequences of such actions, cementing this case as one of the most harrowing examples of calculated, multifaceted criminality within the U.S. military. Audrey Elizabeth Hale. On March 27, 2023, Audrey Elizabeth Hale, a 28-year-old former student of Covenant School in Nashville, Tennessee, carried out a tragic and devastating shooting, killing 6 people, 3 students and 3 staff members at the school. The attack lasted only 14 minutes but left a profound impact on the community and the nation. Hale, who self-identified as a transgender male and used the name Aiden, was undergoing medical treatment for an emotional disorder. Despite these challenges, Hale legally purchased 7 firearms, using 3 of them during the attack. Hale arrived at the school in a Honda Fit, wearing tactical gear, and began the assault by shooting through glass doors to enter the building. Armed with over 100 rounds of ammunition, Hale fired 152 shots in total during the attack. At the scene, authorities found 272 live rounds in Hale's possession. It was later revealed that Hale had left behind a manifesto and detailed maps of the school, which raised questions about the planning and premeditation of the attack. The police response was swift, and Hale was shot and killed by officers before further harm could be done. Due to Hale's death at the scene, no trial took place, and legal proceedings were not initiated. The shooting at Covenant School left the victims' families and the community devastated, leading to discussions about mental health, gun access, and school safety. The attack served as another tragic reminder of the deadly consequences of untreated mental illness and the need for preventative measures to protect vulnerable communities. Jesse Osborne. On September 28, 2016, 14-year-old Jesse Osborne carried out a violent and senseless attack at Townville Elementary School in South Carolina, resulting in 2 deaths and 2 injuries. Osborne, previously expelled from middle school for bringing weapons, had been obsessed with becoming a notorious school shooter and had been planning the attack for months, communicating his intentions online. The attack began when Osborne killed his father at their home before driving to the elementary school in his father's truck. Once at the school, he opened fire on the playground. In a span of just 12 seconds, he shot 2 victims, 6-year-old Jacob Hall and a teacher. Jacob Hall succumbed to his injuries after being critically wounded. The gun jammed after the brief assault, preventing further casualties. Osborne was then subdued by a volunteer firefighter who had been nearby, stopping the violence before it could escalate further. Osborne was arrested and later sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. However, his sentence was modified to 75 years, meaning he will be 89 years old when he is first eligible for release. Osborne is currently serving his sentence in an adult prison. The Townville Elementary shooting is a stark reminder of the dangers posed by violent ideation in young individuals and the tragic consequences of unaddressed anger and obsession. The devastating loss of Jacob Hall and the trauma inflicted on the community underscores the need for better mental health support and preventive measures to identify and intervene in the lives of individuals who may pose a threat to themselves or others. Colt Gray. On January 10, 2024, the quiet community of Winder, Georgia, was rocked by the unimaginable horrors of a school shooting at Appalachia High School, carried out by 14-year-old Colt Gray. In a matter of mere minutes, Gray's violent actions led to the deaths of 4 people and left 9 others severely injured. What made the tragedy even more unsettling was the fact that Gray had only been enrolled at the school for 2 weeks prior to the attack. Yet he had already demonstrated concerning behaviors that suggested a violent future. Even more chilling was the fact that Gray had previously been interviewed by the FBI in 2023 at just 13 years old, signaling a troubling history that may have foreshadowed the horrific events of that day. Gray had become fixated on other mass shootings, consuming himself with the details of such violence. This obsession appears to have influenced his mindset and actions. On the day of the attack, Gray was a new student at the school, and his first day in full classes would be marked by an incomprehensible act of brutality. During his first period class, Gray casually inquired about the school's active shooter response procedures, a chilling sign of what was to come. It was as if he was testing the waters, gauging the school's preparedness for an attack he was already planning. After this unsettling conversation, Gray left the classroom and retrieved a weapon from the bathroom. He donned yellow gloves, seemingly a methodical attempt to protect himself and avoid leaving forensic evidence, as he prepared to carry out his deadly rampage. Gunfire rang out as Gray opened fire on his classmates, striking his victims with chilling precision. The shooting unfolded quickly, lasting only a few minutes, but the terror it caused in such a short span was immeasurable. Students, faculty, and staff were left scrambling for their lives as Gray moved through the school, indiscriminately firing upon his targets. In the midst of the chaos, Gray ultimately surrendered when confronted by the school resource officers who arrived on the scene. The officers, demonstrating tremendous professionalism and bravery, managed to subdue him and end the immediate threat before more lives could be lost. However, the damage had already been done. The aftermath of the attack left the entire community in shock, with victims' families grappling with the sudden and violent loss of loved ones, and many others left physically and emotionally scarred by the events of that day. In the hours following the shooting, it was revealed that Gray's mother had reportedly called the school to warn them of an extreme emergency before the attack took place. However, by the time authorities responded to her warning, the shooting had already occurred, raising serious questions about the effectiveness of the systems in place to prevent such tragedies. Was there a missed opportunity to intervene before it was too late? Could warning signs that were ignored have stopped Gray before he took lives? These are questions that will likely linger for years to come as the community and the nation reflect on the horrifying events. Gray is currently facing charges as an adult, including 4 counts of murder, and remains in custody awaiting trial. The fact that he is being tried as an adult has sparked a fierce debate on the treatment of juveniles within the justice system, particularly in cases involving extreme violence. Should a 14-year-old, still a child in many respects, be held to the same standards as an adult when it comes to mass murder? Or does the nature of the crime and the premeditated nature of his actions demand adult-level accountability? These difficult questions are sure to be at the forefront of the trial. Many concerned about how such cases are handled in the future. Shooting at Appalachia High School serves as yet another stark reminder of the alarming trend of youth violence in America. It underscores the deep-rooted issues of mental health, access to firearms, and societal factors that may be contributing to the rise in school shootings carried out by young individuals. The lack of early intervention, whether through family, school systems, or mental health services, is glaring. Children like Colt Gray are left to fester in isolation, consumed by violent ideations. It is inevitable that tragedies like this will continue to unfold. The devastating loss of life at Appalachia High School is a tragedy that should never have occurred, and it serves as a crucial call to action for all communities, schools, and lawmakers. There must be greater investment in mental health resources, more robust school safety protocols, and a concerted effort to recognize and address the early signs of violence before they escalate into catastrophic events. If nothing changes, the cycle of senseless violence will only continue, leaving behind more victims, more families in mourning, and a nation that has yet to reckon with the root causes of these horrific acts. Salvador Ramos. On May 24, 2022, 18-year-old Salvador Ramos carried out a horrific attack at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas. Ramos, a high school dropout who lived with his grandparents and was unemployed, killed 22 people, including 19 children and 3 adults. The attack, which lasted over an hour, was marred by significant delays in the police response, allowing the shooter to continue his rampage for far longer than necessary. Earlier that day, Ramos shot his grandmother in the face before leaving for the school. He then crashed his truck near the school and entered through an unlocked door, beginning his assault. The attack at Robb Elementary School actually occurred in one building with 2 adjoining classrooms, 111 and 112. But more information on the delayed police response and how long it lasted could be added to show the severity of the delay over 70 minutes in total. During the massacre, Ramos played sad music and even wrote LOL in the victim's blood on a chalkboard, further chilling the nature of his actions. Although officers arrived just 3 minutes after Ramos entered the building, they retreated and waited for over an hour before confronting the shooter. This delay, despite parents pleading with officers to enter the building and save their children, led to significant criticism of the police response. Ultimately, Ramos was killed by a Border Patrol tactical unit that arrived at the scene. The attack ended with the shooter's death, and there was no trial due to his death at the scene. The Uvalde massacre stands as a tragic reminder of the devastating consequences of gun violence and the need for swift, effective law enforcement responses in active shooter situations. The incident also raised serious questions about police preparedness and accountability, with the community and the nation grappling with the loss of so many innocent lives. Xionghui Cho. On April 16, 2007, Xionghui Cho, a 23-year-old senior English major from South Korea, carried out one of the deadliest school shootings in U.S. history at Virginia Tech in Blacksburg, Virginia. Cho, who had been diagnosed with severe depression and selective mutism, had been ordered to receive outpatient mental health treatment in 2005. Despite these warnings, he was able to carry out his violent attack, which killed 32 people and injured over 17 others. Cho's first attack occurred at 7:15 a.m. at West Ambler Johnston Hall Dormitory, where he killed 2 victims. His second, and far deadlier attack, began at 9:40 a.m. at Norris Hall, an academic building on campus. During the second assault, Cho methodically moved between classrooms, shooting victims in a cold and calculated manner. He chained the entrances shut and left a false bomb warning, trapping students and faculty inside. Between his attacks, Cho mailed a manifesto to NBC News in which he compared himself to Jesus Christ and the Columbine shooters, citing grievances and justifications for his actions.
Time came. I did it. I had to. You had 100 billion chances and ways to have avoided today, but you decided to spill my blood. You forced me into a corner and gave me only one option. The decision was yours. Now you have blood on your hands that will never wash off. You just loved crucifying me. You loved inducing cancer in my head, terrorizing my heart, and raping my soul all this time.
Among the acts of heroism during the massacre, Professor Liviu Librescu, a Holocaust survivor, held a door closed to protect students, allowing many to escape the shooter's path. Other faculty and students also made valiant efforts to protect others, despite the overwhelming danger. Cho died by suicide before law enforcement was able to make contact with him, ending the bloodshed, but leaving behind a legacy of horror. No trial or legal proceedings took place, as Cho's death occurred before he could be apprehended. His manifesto, which he left behind, provided a chilling glimpse into his distorted mindset and fueled debates over the need for better mental health support and gun control policies. The Virginia Tech massacre remains one of the deadliest school shootings in American history, with its profound impact still felt today particularly in discussions about mental health, gun violence, and campus safety. Elliot Rodger. On May 23, 2014, 20-year-old Elliot Rodger carried out a brutal and senseless attack in Isla Vista, California, near the University of California, Santa Barbara, UCSB. Rodger, the son of a film industry professional, had been diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome and struggled with prolonged social isolation and psychological distress. He had become active on misogynistic forums, where he voiced his deep resentment toward women and men who were sexually successful, fueling his violent ideations. The attack began when Rodger stabbed his 3 roommates to death at their apartment. Afterward, he drove to the Alpha Phi sorority house, where he attempted to gain entry. When no one answered the door, he shot at women outside. Rodger then continued his rampage, shooting at people outside the IV Deli Mart and carrying out drive-by attacks in the area, further injuring numerous individuals. Throughout the night, he left behind a trail of violence and chaos, culminating in the death of 7 people and injuring 14 others. Rodger's motives were outlined in his 140-page manifesto, My Twisted World, where he referred to himself as the Supreme Gentleman and expressed his desire for violent retribution against those he deemed responsible for his suffering. The shooting ended when Rodger died by suicide after crashing his BMW. His death meant there would be no trial or legal proceedings, and the tragedy sparked a national conversation about misogyny, mental health, and the dangers of online communities that promote hate and violence. Nicholas Cruz. On February 14, 2018, the unthinkable tragedy of the Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School shooting shook the community of Parkland, Florida, and the entire nation. Nicholas Cruz, a 19-year-old former student, unleashed a brutal, senseless attack that would claim the lives of 17 innocent people and leave 17 more severely injured in a mere 6 minutes. The devastating nature of the crime was compounded by the fact that Cruz had been expelled from the school in 2017, and despite clear warning signs of his violent tendencies, no effective intervention was made to stop him before the massacre. Cruz had a troubling history, with numerous signs that his mental health was in serious decline. Yet these concerns were largely ignored or mishandled. The FBI had even received several tips regarding Cruz's disturbing behavior, warnings about his obsession with guns, violent threats, and concerning social media posts. But these red flags went unaddressed. His fixation on mass shootings and violent ideation had long been a matter of public concern. Yet authorities failed to take decisive action that could have prevented the horrific tragedy. These failures would go on to fuel significant national outrage over how law enforcement agencies handled the situation. The attack began during dismissal time at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School. Cruz entered Building 12, the school's academic wing, and began firing his semi-automatic rifle. He targeted students in classrooms, hallways, and even those attempting to flee the building. In the chaos that followed, students screamed and tried to escape as Cruz moved methodically between classrooms, shooting at anyone in his path. His victims were, for the most part, unarmed and defenseless, caught in a whirlwind of fear and confusion as the gunfire echoed through the halls. In an attempt to avoid detection, Cruz left his rifle behind and blended in with evacuating students, walking out of the school with the other survivors. He was able to walk off the scene of the massacre without being immediately apprehended. However, law enforcement quickly launched a pursuit, and Cruz was arrested about 2 miles from the school after a brief manhunt. It was a fortunate turn of events that the shooting did not continue longer, and Cruz was taken into custody without further bloodshed. The aftermath of the attack was both harrowing and heartbreaking. Cruz was charged with 17 counts of first-degree murder, along with numerous other charges related to the injuries inflicted and the trauma caused. In the courtroom, Cruz eventually pleaded guilty to all charges related to the attack, acknowledging the horrifying extent of his actions. The trial revealed the full scale of his intentions and the chilling methodical planning behind the attack, though Cruz showed no signs of remorse during the proceedings. The jury recommended that Cruz be sentenced to life without the possibility of parole, rather than the death penalty. This decision came after a lengthy deliberation. The jury could not reach a unanimous decision on the death penalty, though many felt that Cruz's actions warranted the ultimate punishment. Ultimately, Cruz was sentenced to 17 consecutive life sentences, one for each of the victims whose lives were destroyed by his cruelty. While the sentence could never bring back the lost lives, it was seen as a necessary legal measure to ensure he would never walk free again. In addition to the criminal trial, civil settlements were reached with the families of the victims, but these legal actions could never truly compensate for the immeasurable pain and suffering caused by the loss of their loved ones. The parents, siblings, and friends of the victims were left to grieve the senseless slaughter of young lives, many of whom had barely begun their lives as students, friends, and family members. Marjory Stoneman Douglas shooting became one of the deadliest school shootings in U.S. history and marked a turning point in the national conversation surrounding gun control, school safety, and mental health. In the wake of the tragedy, students and advocacy groups, led by survivors of the attack, launched a powerful movement calling for stronger gun laws, better mental health support, and more comprehensive measures to protect students in schools. This activism, coupled with widespread public outrage, led to increased calls for stricter regulations on firearms and renewed efforts to address the cultural and systemic issues that enable such violence. In the years following the attack, the Marjory Stoneman Douglas shooting continued to resonate across the country, sparking new debates about the responsibility of schools, law enforcement, and lawmakers to prevent such tragedies. The failure to act on warning signs, combined with the ease of access to deadly firearms, highlighted the urgent need for reform in multiple areas. As a nation, we have yet to fully reckon with the grief and devastation caused by this horrific event. But the bravery of those who survived and the determination of those who lost loved ones to push for change ensured that the legacy of those 17 victims will not be forgotten. Dimitrios Pagortzis. On May 18, 2018, 17-year-old Dimitrios Pagortzis carried out a tragic mass shooting at Santa Fe High School in Texas, killing 10 people and injuring 13 others. Despite being an honor roll student and a football player, Pagortzis had a history of mental health struggles, which may have contributed to the brutal attack. He used his father's legally registered firearms in the shooting. Pagortzis wore a trench coat adorned with Nazi symbols during the attack and targeted the art classroom complex, where the majority of the fatalities occurred. In a chilling twist, he deliberately spared students he considered his friends, telling them he was doing so to tell his story. During the shooting, he sang "Another One Bites the Dust" by Queen, further adding to the eerie nature of the attack.
Many people saying that there was gunshots and that people were dead. I shouldn't be going through this at my school. This is my daily life. I shouldn't have to feel like that.
He gave himself up and admitted at the time that he didn't have the courage to commit the suicide.
His legal proceedings are still ongoing, with discussions surrounding his mental health and fitness for trial continuing to unfold. As of now, there has been no final determination regarding his ability to stand trial, and legal processes are actively taking place. The case highlights the tragic consequences of untreated mental health issues and the devastating impact of gun violence in schools. The Santa Fe High School shooting left a community in mourning, and the unresolved legal status of Pagortzis continues to spark debates on how to handle such cases involving mental illness. Jalen Freiberg. On October 24, 2014, 15-year-old Jalen Freiberg carried out a tragic and senseless act of violence at Marysville-Pilchuck High School in Washington. Freiberg, a member of the Tulalip Native American tribe, had recently been crowned homecoming prince and was a member of both the football and wrestling teams. However, his life took a devastating turn after a recent suspension due to an altercation that followed a racist comment. This event appeared to contribute to his emotional distress, ultimately leading to the mass shooting. Freiberg invited several of his friends and relatives to lunch via text messages and used his father's legally owned firearm for the attack. In a matter of just 2 minutes, he targeted only his table of friends in the cafeteria, shooting each victim once in the head. The attack left 5 people dead, including Jalen Freiberg and 4 survivors. Teacher Megan Silbgerger attempted to intervene during the shooting, but was unable to prevent the tragic outcome. The motive behind the shooting was tied to emotional turmoil over romantic rejection. Freiberg's target was a girl who had rejected his advances and was dating his cousin, Andrew Freiberg. In his final tweets, Freiberg expressed his feelings of hopelessness, writing, "It won't last. It'll never last." There was no trial for Freiberg, as he ended his life at the scene, effectively bringing the tragic event to a close. His father, who legally owned the firearm used in the shooting, was sentenced to 1 year and 1 day in prison for illegal firearm possession, as he had not properly secured the weapon. This mass shooting stands as a devastating reminder of how unchecked emotional distress can spiral into catastrophic violence, especially among young individuals. The loss of 5 lives and the trauma inflicted on the community reverberates to this day.
All right, we're on the record in the matter of Helton versus Cox. Kimberly, this was your request. What do you have to add to it, ma'am?
I'm just seeking that I have a custody agreement laid out with him and parenting time, and then a few for the income unit for both of us.
All righty. Well, child support's easy to review. You can ask for it every 3 years. It's been 7. So that's a no-brainer. Child support would be reviewed. Okay. The court has no such agreement in its court file.
I brought in an agreement to the friend of the court from previous. So when we had our first child, I had for the court maternity test, which I did. I paid for everything. I ended up to my daughter. We had parenting time there.
Prior. Because unfortunately, that's not in the 2017 case. That must have been left in the 2014 case.
I brought that in also, sir. And
yeah, well, the court didn't receive it, but sometimes it takes a couple of days.
Yep, I think it was the 14th, and the friend of the court said that they amended that.
Oh, yeah. If you took it to the front of the court, you didn't deliver it to me.
Okay.
The court in the front of the court, while they're not, moniker is friend of the court, they're not necessarily the friend of you, me, or anybody. So they are a statutory creature that does what they have to do, but they are a separate entity. It's like a lot of people ask the front of the court to change their child support. And if they're within the statutory terms of the request, it can be done. So they get confused. But normally you have to ask the court for any changes.
So in that new court order from when my son was added on in 2017, they should go on there that the parenting times not to.
Yeah, but that's all it says is parenting time is by agreement or by previous order.
Which I have.
Right, but the court doesn't have it. So I didn't know there was an order.
Yep,
forgive me. All righty. Well, it sounds like, at this point, it sounds like I will be sending this to the front of the court for parenting time and child support review, just to make sure that we get it all consolidated and put together. And it may be that it stays the way it was, Ms. Helton. It may be that you guys can argue that, hey, circumstances have changed, that it needs to be reviewed.
Okay.
Because again, to the court's knowledge, it's reasonable as agreed or by previous order, which the court does not have. Since I don't have it, I had no opportunity to review it to find out how appropriate or inappropriate it was. Okay. At this point, I believe the fees are waived, so I will send this to the front of the court for parenting time and child support. Are there any questions?
I do have one question.
Sure.
So he has not been returning my phone calls or texts in over a month now. I've been trying to see my kids. I actually physically tried to get my kids weeks ago. Left
and it sounds like she has some concerns that are listed in here.
Okay. What are those?
Did you read those concerns?
No, I did not get any concerns. I didn't.
That there's been indication to her that there was a gun laying in an open drawer.
There's no reason that there's no gun in any drawer.
And there was some marijuana laying around that the kids could access.
No, there's nothing laying around at any times. My guns are all locked in safes and lock boxes for my kids' safety. Hence why. Okay.
Well, that's what I mean. She's made some concerns. I'm not sure how valid they are.
They're not valid at all.
Because my other problem is if I had police reports, allegedly she filed one, but if I had police reports or something other than her and Ms. Helton, that's the problem. I get a lot of people coming in all the time going, oh my God, all this is happening. The kids are telling me this, or the kids have shown me this. And then it winds up being a bust.
Yeah.
Sometimes it winds up being actual.
Yeah. I have.
But again, I got a lot of people that come to court all the time saying, I got all the proof, but all you handed me was a bunch of bare allegations, which does not allow me to change anything on a Friday morning.
Yep.
So, sir, if she is not complying with parenting time, the same way that if you're not complying with child support, there is a show cause division of the front of the court that you may apply for. That is one of their statutory duties. And what they would do, Ms. Helton, is if he applies and says that you're in violation of the court order because you're not in compliance with it, they will also ask you to respond.
Okay.
Which means, dependent upon circumstances, if they can work it out between the two of you, they're good mediators.
Mm-hmm.
And they may say there's enough evidence here, Mr. Cox, or they may look at you, Ms. Helton, and say, no, this doesn't meet the burden.
Okay.
And therefore, that's why I'm sending you to the front of the court to look at some of this stuff if it exists. And again, you may walk out of there with no changes to parenting time. Child support's probably going to change since it's been 7 years. There have been a lot of changes in incomes and tax laws and everything. So the child support's set by law. And again, you can ask for it as a change of circumstance for child support is, did you change jobs? Did you get different pay? Yeah. So child support's an easy change of circumstance. Parenting time, not so much.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm saying, because I don't have the order, I'm going to give you the opportunity, but nothing may change.
Okay.
Okay. All right. That way, both of you can present your concerns. Sir, you have the venue that you have, and I have to tell him about that Ms. Helton, because just as if he wasn't paying child support, I'd tell you, you may contact the front of the court, but they're probably already on it because child support's easy to track because it's done by a computer. We don't know when parenting time is being exercised or not exercised.
Okay.
That's something, there's no computer that takes care of that. So the child support's easy to go after. Parenting time, not so much. That's why they have a whole division that does that. And that's something you do contact the front of the court for.
Yeah, my work is actually very willing to let me.
Well, and again, like I said, I'm sending this to the front of the court and we'll see what happens. Any other questions? Have your most current pay stub available. Okay.
I can have it available, yes.
Yeah, no. The front of the court's going to need it.
Oh, yeah. That's
okay. They're also going to need your work schedules and the children's schedules.
Okay.
Because, parenting time needs to be done when everybody's available.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to give somebody an evening if they work 2 to 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my parents 3:30
Well,
Friday.
And again, I don't know what's currently ordered. So you guys, the only thing I can tell you is the current order is the current order. I'm not changing it.
Yeah, I'll be there at 3:30.
And whether you comply, Ms. Hilton, is going to depend on whether you have a justifiable excuse. Otherwise, you can be held in contempt for not complying.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Good luck to both of you, and we'll see you again soon. I'll get this to the front of the court for parenting time and custody, and we'll see if we can get a proper order in this case.
Okay.
Have a good afternoon. Take care. Cook versus Larson. Pretty much a request to send this to the front of the court for child support. I don't think there's any choice because the former structure is a little bit odd, and you have the right to have it reviewed every 3 years. And it's been some time since the last order went into place. So any questions, anything I need to know? Other than welcome, I'm going to send it to the front of the court. And I'm sorry, Mr. Stores, I didn't know you were in here. Otherwise, I probably would have just contacted you and said, hey, do you have any questions? I'll send you to the front of the court. That way we don't waste everybody's time.
That's right.
I apologize. So I did note, though, that I think we're going to have to get an order in here to redact the file. Guys, as I was looking through this, you have somebody's W-2s in here and they're unredacted. So I'm going to grant an order to have the file reviewed to redact any W-2s, any personal information that should not be in here.
I don't recall putting that in the motion.
I don't know if no, it's not in the motion. I was reviewing the entire file as I normally do to look for the background. Because you had an unusual child support order last time, so I was reviewing it to make sure. And I found I think both parties W-2s in here.
Okay.
So I'm I'll grant an order to have the file reviewed and gone through, and understand, ladies and gentlemen, this is a public file. Anyone can come in and look at it at any time. So we try to keep that stuff out of the file. And it's in the past. I don't think you were the one that did it. I'm not sure who did it.
Okay.
I don't think either one of you gentlemen did.
Right. Someone could steal one of their identities using the coach.
Bingo. That's why, please, I'm granting an order to redact the file. And I saw a couple things in there, but I think I want somebody to go through the whole file, and you don't want to trust me to do that. Let's have the people that do that on a normal basis. That way, I'm just trying to protect you, Mr. Larson, Ms. Cook, to make sure that you don't have any public information that you want leaked to the public. That's why we no longer put children's birth dates in the files either, because of identity theft. So it used to be that we had realtors come in and look at the files because they'd watch over people's divorces and see that if they were ordered to sell the houses, they had an idea about, Oh, there was a whole period of from 2005 through 2010 that happened a lot. And then they had the parameters of what the house had to be sold for by a court order.
Ooh.
Yeah, so we started redacting sale prices.
The real estate market was nuts in those days.
Yes, it was.
First did good, then bad.
Yep. Have your most current pay stub available for the front of the court, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. That way, because that's what they're going to need. The W-2s no longer, after the 2017 tax laws, the W-2s no longer contain your actual gross income at the end. It's placed all over that thing in subsection 12 and subsection 14. So the best indicia of your actual gross pay is from your pay stub. Okay? So have that available. They'll be contacting you in about 2 to 3 weeks. Any questions, anybody? If you need anything, holler. Take care, everybody. All right, we are here in the matter of Means versus Bruce. You filed this in the 2017 case. The 2017 case, luckily the paperwork showed it in the file, had been collapsed into the 2023 case, which is now the predominant case. So anytime you file in the future, you file with the 2023 case number, okay? That'll be on the paperwork. I'll put both cases on the paperwork, but I'll put a star by the 2023. Okay. So it seems like there were questions about 4 kids. We're down to 2 kids that are actually yours. And so there's no court-ordered parenting time that I could find. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So no, you're not missing nothing.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure because bottom line, parenting time has to be ordered by the court if it can be done safely. That's why I was kind of like reading your concerns and I'm like, there are some concerns, but they're not safety issue concerns. So the court will have to order something, a specific parenting time schedule. Okay. Mm-hmm. The question is, well, Mr. Bruce, you back? Okay. I can send this to the front of the court for a full evaluation on parenting time and child support, or I can send it for mediation. Do you guys think you can get along well enough? I read the reports. I'm kind of leaning toward just sending it to the front of the court for a full evaluation, because then they make a recommendation whether you agree or not. And then you have the right to object to that if you don't like it, then we have a hearing. The idea is 80% of the cases get vetted out by the front of the court because it's easier to go through them because you can tell them everything. Mm-hmm. If you're in court and we have a trial, you have to follow the court rules, which means getting evidence into court is not always easy. You're not attorneys.
Right.
So that's why we do the front of the court first, is because then you can air out every little thing you have. Whereas the court may look at you and go, no, I can't hear that.
Right.
So, but I'll send it to the front of the court, for child support and parenting time. So I'm granting your request, Mr. Bruce. I just can't grant it on a Friday morning. What I would ask that you have ready for the front of the court evaluation is your most current pay stubs, the children's schedule, and your schedule to know when you and the children are available. That way parenting time can be ordered. Parties have the right to request specific parenting time at any time. There is none here. Since there's a request, we will grant that. Mr. Bruce, then you'll get your specific parenting time. You and the kids will all know, and the mother will know when the parenting time is to occur, when your pickup and drop off is to occur, and when you're to return the children to each other. Okay?
Okay.
So, because, I can't unset, this case has been going on for years. I can't undo what you guys have been working and doing for years in 5 minutes on a Friday morning. And trust me, you don't want me to, because I could enter an order that affects both of you badly. So let's get it done right. It'll take a little while longer, but this has been going on for a long time anyway. All right. Good luck. Any questions, anybody?
No questions with me.
No
okay.
Questions. So how long will it take?
They generally contact you within 2 to 4 weeks.
Oh, okay.
Now it may be delayed a little bit because we are hitting that season where in 2.5 months we have 7 of our allowed 11 holidays. So holiday is going to interfere with some of this, so it may delay that by about a month or so, but they should be contacting you shortly. Okay? Seems like I have a lot of these this morning. It's kind of like, okay, really? The front of the court's going to kill me with how many of them I'm going to be sending them this morning. You all have the similar facts. There's no specific parenting time, and therefore we got to get it. And that's the easiest way to do it for most people that are not represented. All right? And sometimes it's the easiest way to do it when I have attorneys involved.
In the meantime, you said
Yeah.
send like schedules and stuff. So if my little son, Mr. Bruce, 8-year-old son,
Yeah.
is about to be in sports, do
Right.
I literally?
Yeah, you would want to know what that schedule is, because if he gets an evening on the week, it's his responsibility to take the child to that sport. Just parenting time is time to be a parent. It's not time for possession. You're there to be the child's parent, which means you do what the child needs. And if there's sports involved, there's going to be a certain time. Obviously, he's getting old enough that coming up, each of you is a taxi service. Good luck. That's why we always make sure that weeknights are done too, so that give the other parent a night off.
Right.
Okay. Okay. And sports are things that happen at the school, and both parents are allowed to attend practices as long as the coach allows. That's not parenting time. That's open time. I remember when my son was in football, there were all these fathers that used to stand along the fence line watching every practice. My son asked me not to. He told me it was embarrassing. So
they love both parents to show up.
Yeah, and if that's the case, go for it. That's not parenting time. Parenting time is when you have the responsibility to get them there, take them home, okay, and feed them, and sometimes the whole damn team. Got to have snack night, dude. All right, take care. Ladies and gentlemen, the front of the court will be contacting you shortly. So your motion's granted, Mr. Bruce, to the extent I can on a Friday morning.
All right, thank you.
Have a good day. Take care.
So what he basically said was, when we go to friend of court, basically tell them why,
All right, we're here in the matter of Jarman versus Clark. Mr. Clark, this is your motion. What do you have to add to it, sir?
Nothing much, sir. Just honestly want to just have visitation rights.
Right. And you have that right. Either party can request specific visitation at any time, and there is none in this case. The case says reasonable as agreed. So, Ms. Jarman, what's your input? I didn't get a response.
I'm sorry. As to what, just visiting time in general?
Yeah, parenting time.
I'm for that, actually.
Yeah. Okay. Do you think the two of you can get along well enough to go to mediation, or do you need me to send this for a full review?
I think we can do some type of mediation. I have no problem working with him to figure out something.
Good.
So
good. Typically what I'll tell you is we only get weekends and evenings, summers and holidays to deal with, and we try to divide those as equally as possible. In other words, every other weekend, at least one, if not 2 evenings a week, depending upon work schedule and distance. And if you live an hour apart, it's kind of hard to make an evening during the week happen. More than happy to do that, because we don't like people going 2 weeks without seeing their children. And the summers, each of you get a week here or there. It can go from week on, week off to each of you get 3 full weeks, 3 non-consecutive weeks in the summer. Then every other holiday, half the Christmas break and every other spring break. That way everybody gets the time the children are available. Because it's actually, people get this a little bit off because it's the children's right to have parenting time with you, so they get to know both of you. And both of your families. They have cousins, aunts, uncles, grandparents. That's all. That's why the law demands that parenting time occur if it can be done safely. So I will send you for mediation on parenting time. No problem. Okay. 2 of you, good luck. Have a great day. Generally, it'll help if you have your work schedules available. That way they know when you're available and when the children are available. The kids involved in sports, eventually the 2 of you, as they get teenagers, you guys become a taxi service. So therefore you deserve to have a couple of evenings a week to let the other side off the hook. Okay? Take care of yourself.
Good. Appreciate
good luck.
it.
We're here in the matter of Salvador Santos versus Sanchez Minjares. Case number, Ms. Rocco, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to translate from English to Spanish and Spanish to English to the best of your ability?
I do.
We'll try and keep this one sentence at a time. This one's not that hard. We are here in this matter on a request for a review of child support.
Estamos aquí en el trato para una pedida para revista del soporte del niño.
It is appropriate to review the child support.
Es apropiado a revisitar el soporte.
It has been more than 3 years since it's been reviewed.
Ha sido más de 3 años la última vez que se repasó.
So that request is granted.
Entonces sí lo aprobamos.
As to anything going back to 2019, there is a current court order from 2019 granting child support.
Hay un orden de 2019 en cual el fallo habla sobre el soporte.
So if there's any arrears, they will be collected.
Entonces, si hay algo que estaba debido, va a estar colectado.
The only question I have for Ms. Sanchez is there state aid involved?
La única pregunta que tengo para la señora Sánchez es que hay asistencia de Estado.
Your Honor, I feel like I should interject.
Right, Mr. Sanchez, yes.
Okay. I do not believe that my previous client wants me to currently continue on her case, so I was going to.
I figured you were here as a courtesy.
Yeah, I want to make a motion on the record, and I can supply an order if that's
right. Certainly. If she does not want you to continue, then that would be granted. Ms. Sanchez, that is correct,
Señora Sánchez, ¿es correcto que no quiere que siga para representándolo?
For this time, he can represent me.
Okay. Well, the question stands, do you have any current state aid?
La pregunta queda si usted tiene asistencia del Estado.
What type of assistance?
Any.
Cualquiera.
No. Sometimes I just receive like food stamps, but that's it. That's the only thing.
That's a lot because that means that the state may be confiscating child support.
Eso quiere decir mucho porque puede ser que el Estado esté tomando el child support.
When you have state aid, the state confiscates portions of the child support, if not all of the child support, to reimburse the state for what they're paying on behalf of the child.
Cuando usted tiene asistencia del Estado, el Estado puede tomar todo o parte del child support para reembolsar lo que el Estado está gastando en el niño o niña.
You may contact your front of the court worker to determine what's been happening.
Tiene que contactar el trabajador del friend of the courts para determinar qué es lo que está pasando.
As far as I can tell from the court file, he is up to date and is paying his child support.
Por lo que yo puedo ver por los papeles de la corte, él está al tanto con el soporte.
That's why I asked if state aid was involved, because that would explain why you're not getting much.
Eso es por eso que le pregunté si había asistencia de Estado, porque eso sería la explicación por qué usted no está recibiendo mucho.
But I will send this for a child support review and let's see what changes.
Voy a mandar esto para una revista del child support a ver si hay cambios.
Any questions, Mr. Salvador?
Señor Salvador, ¿preguntas?
Sí, yo envié la última evaluación a la Friend of the Court en este año, y que no sé Friend of the Court cuáles han sido sus procesos. Y lo último que yo tenía entendido, la referee la referee Godwin dijo que nunca había una orden de child support. De todos modos, yo le di dinero a la señora Paola.
So from Referee Gottlieb, I believe, said that there was never an order for child support, but nevertheless, I've been sending money to Ms. Paola.
There is a child support order in here from 2019.
Hay un orden de soporte de child support del 2019.
No, nunca fue firmada por un juez.
It was never signed by a judge.
Oh, so in other words, it was never appropriately entered.
Entonces no estaba correctamente entrado.
Correcto.
Correct.
I will note that the front of the court may look into that previous order then.
Entonces voy a dar nota que the front of the court va a investigar este previo orden.
Okay, good luck, everybody. Take care. We'll see you again soon.
Your Honor, do you want me to submit an order?
Certainly.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Have a good afternoon. It's nice to see you again. Looks like everybody's staying safe. Enjoy. Have a great weekend.
Fin de semana, buena suerte a todos. Adiós.
We're asking the court to revise parenting time as well as pickup locations to minimize contact with mom. Okay. What I'd like to add to it is I haven't seen my son in over a month.
Well, don't you have current ordered parenting time?
I do, but she just doesn't drop him off.
Okay.
September.
How is all transportation done by her?
No.
Okay. Ma'am, what's going on? Why isn't the child being dropped off?
Before we get into this, there's too much to unpack, and I just got the motion in the mail yesterday, and it was posted for the 22nd, and I didn't get the motion until last night. Okay. So I'm asking to extend some time so I can respond.
Well, it sounds like there's a couple of issues that need to be dealt with.
Yeah, there's quite a few issues.
And why? Can you answer my question? Why isn't the child having parenting time done by previous order?
First of all, that's the reason why I need to extend this, because it's a little more complicated than that. He has
well, the answer to the question might answer the question. Can you answer the question? Why is he not getting parenting time?
Because he keeps forfeiting. He doesn't make it. He has abandoned his son at the park. Just let me finish. communicated. He doesn't even text me about any kind of anything, and he's not even the one texting. He's had his wife text with his phone.
That was going to be my question to him, because he keeps using we in this, and it better be
Right.
him, not, I want to know who the we is. But
And that's the whole thing. He's not messaging me. He's not communicating any kind of, until the last minute. It's so overwhelming for my son, who's stressed out because he'll cancel at the last minute.
Let me save you both some time here. Give you the instructions that would be normal, because if I adjourn, it's not going to matter. Ma'am, you can put together a response. That response would be sent to the front of the court, which is where I'm sending this.
Yeah.
Obviously, parenting time, Mr. Sturgis, I read your motion, needs to be reviewed. But I don't know your work schedule. I don't know her work schedule. I don't know the child's schedule. So it's hard for me to make specific recommendations to change anything on a Friday morning. So what I need you two to do is put down what you're asking for and why, and what your work schedules are and how that's possible. I don't know how far apart you guys are from the school. I don't know what his school, because you're asking to be the pickup and drop offs to be at the school, correct, Mr. Sturgis?
Yes, sir.
That way you minimize. But does he take the bus? Does he have sports? How is that going to happen? So you have current parenting time, which, by the way, I'm not changing. So, ma'am, the court will enforce that unless you have some very good reasons for the safety of the child not to go. Sir, you have the right to apply to the front of the court show cause division for parenting time to hold her in contempt for not complying with the current court order. But that's the order of the court that will be enforced for now. Now, if she has safety concerns, that's a whole nother matter, but that's why there's a division that does show cause hearings for child support and one that does them for parenting time. By statute, they do that. You get their forms online. And no, I do not change things on a Friday morning, because I can't undo in 5 minutes what you guys have done for years. So I will send this to the front of the court at your request, Mr. Sturgis. So I'm granting your motion to have this reviewed and to make sure that it can be done. Okay. So there is a $300 fee for that. You are the requesting party, Mr. Sturgis, so that you would be the one responsible for that fee. So I will send it to the front of the court for a parenting time review at your request. What's so funny? There's not much funny about this. The fact is that this is going to happen whether I delay 2 weeks, Ms. Linnell, or not. But you better have some good reasons why he's not getting his current parenting time.
Until my son, in the meantime,
I'm ordering the previous order to say that's what stays in place, and it should be complied with.
Okay.
All righty. That's why I said I'm not changing anything, because I don't have enough information to absolutely grant what you're requesting. Again, I don't know how far apart you are from school. Is that going to interfere? Is pickup going to be possible? Those are the things I don't know.
Sir, I really would like my son to go if he is still able to. The problem is the communication's been so bad. He keeps forfeiting his time. It's just been really hard on my son, and he doesn't even want to go anymore because he says his dad doesn't love him because he's not picking him up properly. It's just been a nightmare of no communication.
If he's supposed to pick the child up, then you follow the order. If you're supposed to drop the child off, then you follow the order.
But a lot of times he's not there. He's 30 minutes late, all kinds of stuff. He doesn't respond to my text messages.
And again, that if he files for a show cause, that would be your defense.
Right.
And there's some that's going to be a defense, and there's some that's not.
Yeah.
So that's why the front of the court vets it out the same way they do with child support. You can and will be held in contempt if you're intentionally withholding the parenting time. Sir, if she has just reasons to do so, the court cannot hold her in contempt. But we have an entire process for that, and there's a reason for that. Okay.
I just need communication. If you'd like to text me,
it would help if you guys would
appreciate
communicate. Yeah, it would help if you guys communicated. How old is this young man?
He's 12.
He's 12. Okay.
He hasn't been seeing his other two either. And
what grade is your son
he's in 6th grade.
Okay.
But he's really taking it hard that his dad keeps forfeiting and all kinds of
let's
things.
get him the parenting time and working it the way it's ordered right now, and and it needs to be done consistently, Mr. Sturgis.
Yeah, I would really appreciate that if he could.
Well, I'm sure Mr. Sturgis would really appreciate that too, of trying to get his parenting time. So, all right. But I will send this to the front of the court. That way, if there's any tweaks or adjustments that need to be made, they'll have the time to deal with it because they'll spend 2 or 3 hours with you when I can only spend 5 minutes right now.
Right. I
All
get
right.
it. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Mr. Sturgis, questions?
The $100 filing fee for
The $300. Yeah, the $300 filing.
So,
The 300.
well, I've had to file $100 to file this motion with you for the fact that I have not seen my son September 15th, September 19th, September 26th, October 3rd, October 10th.
I'm telling you that I'm telling you to
yesterday.
If you listen to me, I said file those complaints with the front of the court parenting time show cause division. That does not cost you. What I'm ordering is that order be complied with because that is the order of the court that I am not changing this morning. Okay. I am sending it at your request to the front of the court to change where it may be appropriate to change. So I'm granting your motion. It's just that I can't grant it on a Friday morning with the information or lack of information I have. You don't want me to be draconian here because all of a sudden I issue an order right now and it becomes an edict that you guys have to comply with. And then I find out later that you guys didn't give me enough information and neither one of you can comply with it. Then both of you are in trouble. Now, trust me, I've ordered like an evening parenting time and then found out the person works second shift. A lot of good that does anybody, right? Because they never told me that. What I'm trying to give you is an example of why I don't order specific changes on a Friday morning. Okay? Because it can hurt as much as it can help.
So as far as the $100 filing fee for this motion, seeing that
that's required by law. I'm not the one
I understand that.
Yeah, but no, that has nothing to do with that has nothing to do with the 300.
I'm asking that Rachel pay the $100. I'm reimbursed for the $100 because I have not seen my son.
I'm afraid the law does not allow for that.
It doesn't. Just so I understand you correctly, I have yet to see my son in over a month, and so you're telling me that I'm not going to get reimbursed for filing a motion with the court to offer a solution.
I have no legal authority to do that.
Okay.
Motions are filed as motions are filed. Okay.
So my motion has been granted.
Your motion has been granted to the extent that we're going to send it for any appropriate changes to the parent.
And so what am I to do now? What do I have to do now?
I told you that you may contact the front of the court. I believe their forms are online for specific show causes as to the missed parenting time. And then what's on the books is makeup time. Ma'am, you have the right to respond to all of those requests and what happened on those days.
Okay. I appreciate that.
And you have the right to defend yourself, but if there's no defense and there's an intentional not following the court order, they'll probably hold you in contempt.
And what would that be?
It can be anywhere from a slap on the wrist to say, don't do this again, and we're giving him the makeup parenting time, to $50 an event. Normally what happens is the first time is more of a slap on the wrist. The second time is $50 charge per time. The third time is $100 charge per time. The fourth time it happens, the other party who's withholding either gets incarcerated or it's sent to the front of the court for a custody change. Because
She's
if you're
already
withholding,
had several.
yeah, so if there's been several and she's been held in contempt several times, this may jump to the next level. It's a very frustrating process, but it does occur.
Okay, so I'm now, just so I understand, we're into a month now with me not being able to see my son. So this is now going to go to the front of the court, but now
for any appropriate changes, and now you file for the ones that are missed because that was the court order.
Okay,
you file the show cause for the ones that you've missed. We're holding her in contempt. She has the right to defend herself and say that I did not intentionally do this. This is the reasons why, and they're justified. They may or may not be. You both have the right to file this. The court will then either hold a hearing, and they'll try and mediate between the two of you. And then in the interim, we're going to send this to the front of the court to see if it's appropriate to change the parenting time. It may or may not be. It may be that the former order of the court stays in place.
So this process is going to take probably about another month or so.
It could take 2 months to 3.
Right. So in the meantime, just keep showing up at the library.
In the meantime, what she may not have realized is that she can be held in contempt. Some parties don't realize that. And sometimes that threat alone is, okay, we're going to make parenting time happen because it's going to cost me money or it could cost me my freedom.
Okay. So
the same as it does for lack of payment of child support.
So we'll just keep showing up at the library.
Right. Yes.
And just keep playing this. And so we're in a month.
It's the process, Mr. Sturgis.
Yes, sir.
I wish this were TV, and I wish I could do it like TV, and that is have a motion like this, have the hearing, and then make a ruling. That's not the way this works.
Just want to be able to pick up my son.
I understand, and you should be able to, unless she has some safety concern for the child.
Sure.
Miss Linnell, any questions?
Yes. I'm asking that he would try to communicate with me and not through Skype with his phone. And
the parents should be the ones communicating. That would be you, sir, with the mother, not any third parties. The third party has no legal authority over this child.
I would also like it to be consistent so his son feels safe.
Well, and that's what I'm telling him, is he has the right to ask for this, but the order is the order. It's got to be complied with.
If he would like to message me, I would appreciate that so we can go forward. But he is saying he has a no contact order, which I know he's saying he has one against me, and I don't know what that's about. But he has made it difficult where he's not even picking up his son. He has Michelle do it. And she doesn't show up. So it is so frustrating to meet at the level.
Again, then those are the defenses that you have. That is why I am not changing anything today.
Right. So if he would like to text me today
and make sure that there is a pickup or drop off, and a third party is appropriate sometimes because the two of you don't get along. As long as the child knows the third party, they are allowed to pick the child up.
There isn't any reason why we can't.
I'm not saying there has to be a reason. I'm saying that if the two of you don't get along, he may be able to send a third party for safety concerns, and that's on your benefit as well.
No.
If the child knows the third party, let the child be picked up by a third party.
You're
asking for consistency. That's the way sometimes consistency has to be made.
No, you're not understanding. I don't have
You're not understanding. Get the parenting time done. Thank you. We're done.
Thank you.
Good morning, sir. Welcome. All right, we are here in the matter of Martinez versus Alvarado. I have a request for parenting time, which is going to be granted, but I have to send it to the front of the court under the circumstances. The parenting time is reasonable as agreed. There is no agreement. Therefore, either party may request specific parenting time at any time during the case. So I will send it to the front of the court. It looks like from income, I am going to have to charge you 150 of the 300. I'm going to waive hers as she is on state aid. But my question becomes this: how do you get to work?
Huh?
How do you get to work?
I live by.
You live by your work?
Yes.
So you don't have a car? Do you have a driver's license?
No.
Okay, because my problem is I'm not going to make her drive to do all your parenting time. I'm not going to make her do all the work for your benefit, for the child's benefit too. But the way you wrote this, I'm a little concerned. I'm not making her do the transport. She may do some of it, but not all of it. Okay.
Well, I know she knows the situation I am. I just like to see my child, and
yeah, you want to sit back and you want to sit back here and let her do all the work. Yes, I got it from the way you filed.
It's not that. It just I am in a situation where I am. You know what I'm saying? I don't need to explain.
Well, that's why I'm asking. Do you have a driver's license?
I don't got no driver's license.
Okay. Is there a reason for that? Is there an OUIL?
Yeah, it's a reason. I am special education guy. I got problems to do that. That's a problem.
Okay.
But I want to able to see my child. That's it.
Understood. And they're going to have to work out a method of doing that, but I'm not going to make her do all the transportation, all the work. Unless she's willing to. If she's willing to, I'm going to let her, but I'm not going to force her to.
Well, she was doing it. You know what's the problem? The problem is the personality she are. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Like I said, I read the file. I think she was doing it, and then she got tired of being the only one putting in any effort.
I was doing everything she wanted for my baby. I was sending money every time.
I will send this to the front of the court for parenting time. I note this case was brought by the prosecutor's office, okay? And the parenting time in there is reasonable as agreed, because that's all they can deal with. But this was brought because of state aid, because the state mandates that if neither one of you brought this case, we would have loved to stay out of your life, but since she's on state aid, the prosecutor had to bring the case. They dealt with child support, and now we'll deal with the parenting time. I just wanted to put you on notice that, after review of the file, we're going to get you parenting time somehow, okay? And we're going to get it specifically ordered.
I just
So
need
I will
help,
send it.
man, to see my
Yeah,
my
that's why
child.
and I'm
I
granting
like
that.
to see my
And
child.
I'm granting that.
I want to do. I was doing everything, and she
Right.
know. She know I was
Right.
doing everything for my child.
Mm-hmm.
I got $2,600 in cash out every day because I was doing everything for her.
Okay. Well,
So
again,
I'm not.
I'm granting your motion. I'm sending this to the front of the court for that review to find out when it's possible and how it's possible. Okay.
Well,
We'll
I
get your
don't got
parenting
no
time.
car. I don't got no car. I just need my situation to see my child.
Okay. Alrighty. Then I'm going to grant it so that we can find some way to see your child. Alrighty.
So what I need to do?
Nothing. You're going to get an order for reference. Like I said, I'm going to have to charge you the $150 because you make a decent living. And you're not on state aid, so I'm going to waive her state aid and only charge you the $150. Okay, instead of the full $300.
150 for
50
what?
for the child parenting time review. There's a $300 charge for the front of the court. You make over $50,000 a year. I can't not charge you something. She's on state aid. I can't charge her anything. So I have to charge something, but I'm cutting it from the $300 down to $150. All right. Good luck, everybody. Yeah. Take care. The front of the court will be contacting you shortly.